Hey, everybody, it's Scott Steen with winnersandwhiners.com coming to you with the Tuesday edition of Today in Sports Betting. Today, we're going to take a look first at the NBA. Scott, I think this is officially the last time we're going to have two games in one day for this current NBA season.
Well, the truth is that I'm not fully sure because I know that the Lakers series is probably going to be starting in 2 days. So they might just have – it's possible they're having a day off and then having two games every other day.
They're going to play two games every other day and then have a day. Oh,
I'd have to assume as much, right? Because I don't think that they're going to force the Clippers or Nuggets to play a back-to-back for game one of their series.
No, I thought they would give them I thought they would give them an extra day off, maybe.
Truth is, I'm not fully sure, but I know that they've been trying to stick to the every other day philosophy when it comes to actual just game planning. So, or for scheduling, I should say. So, I'm really not sure.
Let me ask you this, and that kind of leads me into a question. The Nuggets have played every other day for a month.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm assuming that they're just going to keep both games every other day and then have a day off in between.
Well, we're going to stop assuming, and we're going to know here pretty quick. So.
Actually, hang on a second. I'm looking at this, and it says the Lakers series should be starting on the 18th. Yeah, so apparently it is going to be one matchup per day.
I figure that makes sense.
It makes sense. I didn't understand it either. I just didn't think that they would go from every other day to, you get 2 days off now every other day again. I just didn't see that coming.
Well, I'll try not to have everything I say be so controversial that we need 5 minutes to solve it. That was just kind of a generic opening.
And I wasn't sure, but according to ESPN, it says they're playing on the 18th. So
that's right. Yes, we are here to impart knowledge as well as our opinion. So
it's a good question. I assumed it would be every other day, and that would be the end of it. But okay.
All right, so here we go. Man, just a quick aside. I know we're not going to do in NFL today, but just as a quick aside, I think that they should play 2 Monday night games every week. That's just me.
I didn't really watch much of the NFL last night. I thought it was fine. Both games, I wasn't that interested in going in. I thought Pittsburgh would struggle in the first half, win the game. They did, but they woke up in the second quarter. And then I thought Denver was actually going to cover. I thought they might win before Sutton got injured. I thought Sutton injury was big. But yeah, Tennessee ended up winning. Gostkowski was terrible, but he made the game winner. And it's going to be great next week when Denver has 5 timeouts against Pittsburgh because the 2 carry over from the previous game, right?
That's what I said to my son last night. I said he must be saving them for next week.
There were a couple of really dumb coaching decisions in that game. You had the Denver not using any timeouts. Then you had Tennessee throwing the ball on 3rd and 1 at the 6-yard line instead of just running it with Henry, which I don't know what they were doing there. It was an incomplete pass. They stopped the clock. You have a bowling ball in the backfield. Run the ball. You get the first down. You can just milk it, kick it as time expires, and you win. But yet they're like, no. They're going to stack the box. We're going to throw this fade real quick.
Had him wide open. That's why you don't have Tannehill as your quarterback. That's why.
He also led the drive the whole way. So I'm not going to roast Tannehill too badly, but no. I just don't think that you should be throwing that when on that drive Henry was averaging like 5 yards carry.
I completely disagree. I thought it was a terrific call. We catch him in the wrong defense. They shifted formations. The play were perfect. Had him wide open. It was
open. Just once again, you just said I don't fully trust Tannehill, or that's what you get.
No, I don't. And that's yeah, I know, and that's your problem. But obviously,
I'm saying you have to factor that into the play calling.
No, Vrabel does not. Vrabel has to trust his quarterback. You have to trust your quarterback to make that throw.
I don't know how you don't run the ball there. I think that running the ball is a no-brainer. Worst case is you don't get it. You force Denver to burn one of their 3 timeouts. Worst case, you force them to burn a timeout. And I know Gostkowski wasn't great. You're not playing for trying to get the ball back with 17 seconds left. So the game's basically over if you miss the kick. Run the ball, get the first down, bleed the clock.
Yeah, well, see, that was the wild card in that decision is you had a kicker that hadn't made a kick yet. So I think I totally.
Didn't that play a factor because they were just trying to get into the end zone to ignore the actual kicking aspect?
Yes, absolutely. I think
that's possible. I just think that in that situation you have to run the ball.
That would never play in an NFL's coach's mind, except in a situation last night when you're inside of 35 yards like that. That's never going to come into play. I guarantee it came into play last night.
I was just shocked that they didn't run it with Henry because he had 31 carries for like 100+ yards.
He didn't have a great night. He had,
No, he had a ton of touches though. In that final drive, he was solid. I don't know. I thought they were just going to run it, bleed the clock, kick a 20-yard, like 25-yarder, and then
that they are teaching a clinic on how you turn an elite running back into a below-average running back. Running him 31 times a game is exactly how you do that.
Well, that's why I assumed Henry would have a big year this year and then probably fall apart in a couple of years because
odds are that he should fall apart this year. It's the year. Anytime they run 400 carries seems to be the magic number. Anytime you hit 400, you can look for a substantial drop off in the years after that. That is statistically been proven out time and time again. So
yeah, I still think he's going to be good this year. It's a matter of years in the future.
Well, you're 0 for 1. So,
but what do you mean?
Well, he went to 30. I think he went 31 carries for like 118 yards, less than 4 yards a carry.
Yeah, but I don't know if I can fully blame Henry on that, or the fact that Denver was stacking the box every play.
You think they're going to be the only ones?
I'm just stating a fact that I'm not going to immediately say that Henry's on pace to have a down year at 100-plus yards.
Okay. Well,
he's on pace for like 1,600 yards.
Okay, well, they could give you the ball enough times you get 100 yards.
I'm just saying, I think he's going to get less touches in the future, but I can't say that he's going to have a down year because he ended up having 118 yards in week 1.
Book it. It's going to happen. It's over, all right?
Okay, I'm just saying, did you lead the league in rushing yards this week? No, Hilarion did because he was on Thursday. He's the second most rushing yards in the league. I know he had a lot of touches, but I'm not going to immediately say that. I thought Henry looked fine.
Okay.
My opinion, I thought he looked fine.
Okay. But you admit you didn't watch the game?
No, I watched the fourth quarter. I didn't watch the majority of the game.
Okay. All right, good enough.
I turned it on when I saw that Gostkowski missed the extra point, and I'm like, oh, this game's still interesting because they have one kicker who can't kick, so I'm going to turn it on.
Well, we'll monitor that as the season goes on. We'll see what happens. I like Derrick Henry. I hope I'm wrong, but statistically speaking, when you run them like that, you're basically taking your shot that year. There
were a couple of interesting play calls. You had that one. You had the Drew Lock 50-yard bomb attempt on like 3rd and 10, and they went to the end zone. He had a step. He overthrew him, but I wasn't really sure if that was the time to take the shot. But they went for it and whatever. You had the Fangio timeout fiasco. Other than that, though, you also had the really, really bad shovel pass on 4th and goal at the 1. But, yeah, a couple of questionable play calls there. But Tennessee was the better team. Fangio had no idea how to preserve clock. And, Tennessee got the win. And right now they're tied with the Jaguars for first place in the division.
I hate that division. Oh, my God.
Division's terrible. I thought Tennessee was going to win the division anyway because I wasn't sold on any other team. And after week 1, I definitely think Tennessee's going to win the division.
Every team – I'm trying to think if every team in that division screwed me. Colts screwed me.
Well, the Colts played the Jaguars, so they inherently screwed you.
The
Texans did you a favor because the Chiefs beat the Texans.
Each of them screwed me there, and the Texans did their thing. Okay.
No, the Texans you like because you knew that they were going to be bad. So
they were terrible, and they were. They were okay. So
I think you'll agree with me. Tennessee's the best team in that division.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Even if you want to say, by a war of attrition, they are still the best team in the division.
I don't think there's any question.
Yeah.
Nothing any of those teams did. Although, you know what? We'll see what happens with Jacksonville. If you have a
Tennessee this upcoming week, Tennessee's favored by about 11. So
I understand. I'm just saying, if you have a quarterback that's going to complete 95% of his passes, maybe he deserves a look. No, I totally agree. Tennessee.
I still think Jacksonville's going like 4-12, but we can get into that as the season goes on.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, hey, NBA is the day, man. We got we've got a couple interesting games, man. We've got a game 7, and we've got a game between two teams that nobody really thought was going to be there, Scott. So, you know what? Let's start with that one. Let's start with game 1. Let's leave the big nice dessert for the end. The Heat and the Celtics, two teams one team that I liked a lot. You kind of like both. You like both of these teams. I really like the Miami Heat, as did you. I ultimately thought Toronto was going to be the better team than Boston. That did not end up being the case. So
that's not the case because they lost in 7 games. Yeah, they really got blown out in that series. Yeah,
I understand, but I mean, you go 7 games and one team wins 4. I mean,
we also didn't expect Siakam to be awful for the majority of the series. So that also played a factor.
No matter how you want to say it.
Yep, Celtics got the job done.
They got the job done in 7. I don't know if you want to play best of 9, best of 11 until it ultimately comes out your way.
I think Boston would still win anyway, but yeah.
No, I like Toronto. I really thought Toronto was a class of that division. I
I'm
thought
saying if it would go to 9 or whatever, because at the end of the day, Boston just had more offensive weapons.
and they played good defense. They were able
Yeah.
to they were able to do shut down a couple of big pieces. Siakam was the big one. That was totally unexpected. So yeah, it's a it should be an interesting game here to get going. Scott, I think the Celtics defense is going to be able to do the job. I think the defense that took care of an arguably better team in Toronto is going to be able to take care of the Heat in this one. I like the Heat, but we talked before that going into that series that what the Heat did really well is shoot from distance. What Milwaukee does really poorly was defend from distance, and that's exactly how that worked out. Boston doesn't have that kind of a challenge that Milwaukee does. They defend from distance a little bit better. I think it's going to be another great series. I'm going to say Celtics in 6, including taking this first one there at quote-unquote home. Your thoughts?
Well, before the playoffs started, I did a video on NBA restart props, and I have the Heat to win the East at 10-1, and I have the Heat to win the championship at 33-1. So, yeah, it might be hedge time. We'll see. The only thing I know is that I do still like this Miami team. Boston does have some of the best players in this actual series. Miami, in terms of superstardom, has Jimmy Butler, who's I'd say fringe superstar. Boston has Tatum, who's probably going to be a top 10 player in the league for the next decade and a half because he's ridiculous. Jaylen Brown's also really, really good. And Kemba was awful in the last couple of games of that Toronto series, but Kemba's still obviously a top-tier point guard.
Rarely do you see a player of Kemba's quality disappear as much as he did.
Correct, that's what I'm saying. But yet Boston won anyway. So if you assume Kemba's going to pick it up, then Boston – I don't want to say they're unbeatable, but I just think they have too many weapons for Miami to handle if Kemba wakes up.
And that's the thing. Boston's a team, you just keep taking guys out of the equation. They just keep winning. First of all, they couldn't win without Hayward. And then, Kemba's really going to have to step up and score 30 a game. That didn't happen. All they do is win, buddy. All they do is win. I don't like them. I mean, as a team,
I'm a huge Brad Stevens guy. You know that. I'm a huge Brad Stevens guy.
Yeah, I know. They just bore me. I thought they were too inconsistent throughout the year.
So you're rooting for Miami, but you think Boston's going to win the series?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's an accurate depiction.
I'm going to probably end up hedging the series because I got 10-1 Heat, and we'll see what happens there. But based on what I think is going to happen in this game, I'm actually going to be leaning to the over in Game 1. It's a small lean, nothing huge, but at the end of the day, I'm expecting Game 1 to be a massive feeling out process between these two teams defensively. Heat are very good defensively, but Boston has a lot of scores, and the Heat can still go bombs away from 3, which is something that Toronto somewhat did, but not to the same degree that the Heat do. So I think both defenses might struggle a little bit more than people anticipate because the defense got so accustomed to playing a particular opponent. Now they're playing a new opponent. That new opponent specializes in a specific area. The Heat were able to stop Giannis and the Bucks because they weren't really much of a threat from the supporting cast to shoot from the outside. They're more just relying on Giannis to spin in the paint, Middleton to chuck up shots. Celtics have a ton of three-point shooters, and the Heat also have a ton of three-point shooters. I think this game should be in the 110s. I think both teams could probably get to 104, 105. So I think that 208.5. I understand why money's coming on the under, but I do think the offenses will have a bit more success in Game 1 before they make some adjustments for Game 2. So I'll lean to the over in that one.
All right, very good. So there's a pick for each of us. I like the Celtics minus the 1.5. You've got the over 208.5.
It's more of a counterplay because of the line, but I think that with the quality nature of both offenses, I think that total's a bit too low. You have any thoughts on that?
Okay. I did. I made the total my premium play for the day.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's the
it's just a lean. You're not really going to know until you see these two teams match up anyway. But I think that this total is kind of an overreaction to the defense that they played in the last series, and I think that the new matchup presents some unique challenges to the defense that they're going to have to make adjustments for.
All right, good enough. Let's talk about the second game. It's game number 7.
I don't know where to go with this one.
Between the Nuggets and the Clippers, it's been all over the place, man. It's you've got a situation where Clippers were up by 18 in the third
They're up
quarter.
double digits in each of the last 2 games at halftime, and then they choke it both times.
I don't know. I don't. Yeah, I don't. Is there's so many questions. Is the Denver team just that resilient? Are the Clippers that big of a choke artist? I mean, certainly you certainly have to agree that all the pressure is on the Clippers in this game.
It has to be. All the pressure's on the Clippers. I think if the Clippers lose this game, I think Doc Rivers will probably get fired. That's it might be an overreaction. I don't think it is. You cannot blow a 3-1 lead with a shot at the Western Conference Finals up next with a super team for the most part, with a 3-1 lead and 2 double-digit leads at half. If the Clippers lose this game, Doc Rivers should be fired.
Well, let me give you a couple fun facts here, Scott. 7 times the Clippers have had a chance to clinch a berth in the Western Conference Finals. You know what their record is in that?
0-7.
0-7. That is correct. Since
2000, and the last time Doc Rivers had a 3-1 lead, he blew it to the Rockets in that Josh Smith, Corey Brewer game. What was that, 6? They were up like 19 going into the 4th, and they absolutely blew the thing. Yeah, I've never been a big Doc Rivers guy. I've gone on record saying that. I thought that he inherited a tremendous team back in Boston when they ended up winning the one time, and they only won one time. So I thought that was kind of an underachieving. I know that KG got injured a couple times and et cetera, but I don't know. I feel like Doc Rivers was always a coach who got by on one ring when he had the best team in the league by far that one year. And I thought that he was a mediocre coach who kind of coasted on it ever since. But it's actually – did you see the Phil Jackson clip on Twitter that was circulated?
No.
So there was a clip from one of the Celtics-Lakers finals back in the early 2010s.
Okay.
And Phil Jackson was talking to his team right after the third quarter. And I'm assuming they were losing. I didn't have the score in front of me. But the quote, he's talking to his team to pump up his team. And he says straight up, this team has blown more fourth-quarter leads than any other team in the league. They know how to lose games. He said that about Doc Rivers roughly 10 years ago, and apparently it still applies. So, yeah, I don't know what Doc Rivers is telling them at halftime. Maybe just stop giving the halftime speech altogether.
Yep.
Just let somebody else do it. I'm still leaning to the Clippers in this game because they're still more talented, but I thought for a play that I thought about doing Nuggets team total under because the last couple of Game 7s the Nuggets had been in, they haven't scored 100 points. They barely beat the Spurs last year. They got killed by the Trailblazers at home, and then they ended up winning Game 7 against Utah, and they scored 80 points. So Denver's offense has been terrible. I'd lean to the team total under for Denver. Yeah, but I really couldn't touch it because I don't want anything to do with backing any of this Clippers team until I actually see them play well for a full 48 minutes, which I don't know if it's going to happen, and this game will be close, but I don't know, man. Unless you want to lean Clippers first half because that's the only area they've actually performed well in for the entire series.
Yeah, I don't know. This is a Clippers franchise that has blown leads of 2-0, 1-0, 3-1, 2-0, and 2-1.
I couldn't do it. I wanted to pull the trigger on it, but this is one of these games that I don't want to really get involved in, especially since I have a Clippers future. I also have a Lakers future, so even if the Nuggets win, I just think the Lakers are going to kill them anyway. But still, so I have something technically riding on the game from a futures perspective, but it's one of these games I don't want to bet on. I just want to sit down and just watch it unfold. And we're going to see what happens. I'm assuming you feel the same way.
Well, obviously, I have a play on this. I have.
I'm saying for the most part, though, from a general fan perspective, this is one of these games that you feel like you kind of have to watch.
Yeah. I'm pretty excited about both of these NBA games. And you know me, I'm not a big watch the NBA guy. I make plays on it. I'll follow it. But
I think the Miami Celtics series is very similar to the Toronto Boston series because you're just going to have an absolute war on your hands, which I think is what's going to happen. I thought Toronto would win in 7 against Boston and end up going to 7. I think this series is probably going to go 6 or 7. So I think you're looking at a very long and grueling series between two teams that probably don't like each other too much. So, as you know, especially with Jimmy Butler trying to get under everybody's skin. So I think that series will be good. And the Clippers Nuggets, I thought the Clippers would win in 5. I think everyone thought they would probably win in 5 when they went up 3-1. And the Nuggets didn't get the memo. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, they somebody forgot to tell them they were done. But, you saw this coming, Scott. You saw little storm clouds on the horizon, the way they let Dallas hang around.
Yeah.
And of course, they ended up prevailing.
The losing the game without Porzingis was just the absolute eye-glaring loss there in that first-round series. They were up 20 or something. And then Porzingis is out. They give up a massive run, and Doncic hits a 3 on their forehead. And I'm like, all right, whatever. I mean, I ended up winning my Clippers minus 1.5 games anyway. But still, that was definitely a thing that people are going to look back on and say, we probably should have seen the signs.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it was only due to, you can make the argument that series was due to Dallas's dreadful defense. They played a team that's,
Dallas couldn't guard anybody. That was just a given. They gave up 150 plus points the game after.
That's what I'm saying. The Dallas defense was dreadful, and the Clippers still.
Yeah, they struggled.
They had their hands full. They gave them 2 games to Dallas, and now they gave them 3 to Denver already.
My question for you is, how many minutes do you think Kawhi plays tonight? He's been playing around 40. Do you think he plays like 45?
I was going to say 40, 43, 44 probably.
I'm curious if they're going to play him like old LeBron and just give him, here's 47 minutes. Have fun.
What else are you going to do, Scott? I mean,
he can't do anything. That's what I'm asking. I don't know who else.
Marcus Morris has been arguably their second best player.
Paul George actually had a pretty good series. That's kind of been lost in the shuffle. He had 30-something last game. But Paul George has been good. He'll probably play 40-plus. I got to assume Kawhi's going to play 45-plus. Truth is, as much as I like Lou Williams, I don't think you can play him in the series. He's been awful defensively.
No, worse than usual, and he's usually not good.
That's what I'm saying. I don't want to say you're going to give extra minutes to Beverly, but you might have to.
Well, and Beverly, he's even though Murray hasn't averaged what he did against Utah. He's been able to keep Pat Bev in foul trouble just about every game.
Correct, but you got to try something.
Well, what are you going to do? I mean, these guys can't guard him. They can't. I don't know who they're going to, and I don't know who they're going to put on Jokic.
Well, Jokic is a lost cause. I'm assuming Zubac is probably going to play a lot more because he's the only one who has the height to somewhat bother Jokic.
But
by bother, I mean Jokic is still going to drop 30, but you have to pretend that you're actually trying to do something.
Harrell and Zubac have been a disaster again.
Oh, they've been terrible in terms of guarding Jokic. But I'm saying if I've had to guess or compare how Zubac's been performing to Harrell this series, I got to go with Zubac. Zubac's clearly been the better option out of the two.
Man, we got a lot of two bad options.
Correct. If you're talking about minutes wise, I think you got to go with Zubac more because he's taller. He can actually affect Jokic maybe a little bit more. Still basically zero, but you got to try something. I got to assume that Kawhi and Paul George should be single-handedly guarding Jamal Murray pretty much on every single play. That would be my assumption.
I'm taking the points.
I would take the points also if I had to lean, but I'd still lean to Denver team total under as my main because offensively they've been terrible in the first half of every game. In the second half, they wake up and they do whatever. I'm just hoping that whatever Doc Rivers has been doing for the last 2 games at half, just don't even give a speech. Just don't even send them to the locker room. Just keep them on the bench.
I would invest zero money in Denver not getting to 100. Sorry.
It's my personal opinion. You've seen Game 7s be extremely low scoring. I've seen Denver historically in the last year be extremely low scoring in Game 7s. I think that if the Clippers, whose offense can go into a funk repeatedly, if their defense shows up for at least 3 quarters, there's no way Denver's getting to 100, in my opinion.
I don't know. This is a Denver team that's averaged 106 points in this series. They failed to hit 100 twice. They went 98 and 96.
They had 85 at one time.
What's that?
They had 85 that one time. They lost 96 to 85.
Or sorry, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, 85. They've had 85 and they've had 97 twice. No, I'm not.
I'm expecting a very low-scoring Game 7. I'd lean under as well. Until I see a Game 7 go over, I'll lean under because so far all 3 Game 7s have gone under by about double digits. So I'm leaning under there.
All right, good enough. All right, guys, there you go. That's our NBA show. I think the one thing we can agree on is that it's
going to be a pretty tough card to predict for today.
Well, it is. You've got an opening game with the teams that haven't seen each other, and you got a Game 7 in a series that's been absolutely psycho.
Yep.
So yeah, it's anybody out there going 2-0 today is earning their money as a handicapper. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I'm probably going to miss a decent amount of the Heat and the Clippers separate games because I got the Islander game, so I got to watch them probably lose in 5.
Oh yeah,
I still have to watch it. I have to. It's an elimination game. I got to at least hope my team can come back.
All right, fair enough. Well, good luck.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to watch it.
Probably going to be watching.
If not, it's fine. It's been looking pretty bleak.
Probably going to be watching basketball. You and I agree that game was over when they let them win with 8 seconds left.
Yeah, game 2 was when I thought it was over. I was shocked they won game 3, so they gave me the false hope. And this took a 1-0 lead in game 4, gave up 2 goals immediately right after. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, they're basically screwed, but I gotta see it through.
I wouldn't be stunned to see the Islanders step up tonight and win, and then lose in game 6.
That would surprise me, but we'll see.
Okay. All right, good enough. Hey, we'll be back and do this again on the other side on the baseball show. So just click that next video because you guys, you can't get enough of it. Just 30 minutes of us ain't gonna do it for you. So to get your complete fix, make sure you check it out on the baseball side. And of course, if you want to know what our handicappers over at Winners and Winers are thinking about this game, these 2 games, check out winnersandwiners.com for deep dives into both of these NBA games as well as every other game. Check those out as well. Check out Scott and I every morning doing our thing. And I wanted to give a special shout out to Dave the Dominator over at Winners and Winers. He is absolutely killing it on his premium picks. He has been 62% over his last 150 games. Not too shabby. So he's over there. He's got premium picks for sale, as do I. So if you're interested in getting even more great picks, check that out over at Winners and Winers. But for today, for myself, for Scott Reichel, for all of us over here at Winners and Winers, we appreciate you watching the show. Want to wish you good luck on all of your plays here on this NBA/NHL/MLB night. Hope you win them all and cash every single ticket. Scott and I will be back and do it again tomorrow. We appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time on Today in Sports Betting. Take care.